we're gonna move on with talking about what everybody experienced. And before we do talk about how the Zoom rooms work for you, I do want to hear from a couple people to make sure we get some feedback. Kaya, how did your meetings go?
I knew you were going to pick me, Heidi. My meetings went pretty well. I had 3 of them back to back. I met with Matt Gallagher out of Senator Borges' office, with Ana Velasquez out of Senator Caballero's office, and with James Martinez out of Senator Hurtado's office. And it was really interesting to hear how all of them have been working together on advocating for increased access to opportunities as it relates to healthcare and the workforce development. They were all really receptive to our ask, specifically on increasing transparency in funding and increasing supports for small businesses owned by people of color and women. So I think all of them went very well, learned some new information from each of them, and also met some new people as well. So thank you for organizing and giving us the opportunity to share.
How was their receptiveness to our idea
of having to connect?
No, the expansion of the DP, of the expand on the talking points.
Yes. So Senator Borges' office, Matt, was actually very receptive to it and wanted a little bit more information because he was not familiar with it, but he was familiar with, what is that, 1235? Mm-hmm. Yes, 1235. He's familiar with 1235, but not with the recommendation. So he'd like more information. Same with Caballero's office. They're supportive, but they, again, need more information. But their focus really is more holistic. Mm-hmm. And it's a nice way of saying that. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, out of Senator Hurtado's office, again, same thing. If they are going to support, they'd like us to send a draft letter of support that all they have to do is put their name on. And
okay. Okay, great. We can do that. Chris.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey. Well, one, I had a great coffee with Carolina, so I want to say that. So thank you. And I met with, I think it was Michelle out of Mr. McCarty's office, which is cool because I'm here in Sacramento and they're from Sacramento too. Had a really good conversation, talked specifically about some of the key structural roadblocks that we've seen, particularly Black-owned businesses, Black-owned micro businesses experience, and then use that as a way to talk about some of our talking points, reallocating funds from the California Competes. They were receptive to that, and some of the other recommendations that we had too. But more specifically, also talked about some opportunities for possible new legislation out of McCarty's office that get to the design of some of the business support programs that the state either funds directly or supports on a local level, and spoke specifically about some of the best ways to design these programs so that they reach particularly Black-owned businesses in the way that they need to. And then there was an openness to working on some follow-up legislation. We were concerned about the calendar schedule, right? That's one thing that we definitely have to keep in mind. But there was an openness to working on some follow-up legislation after this year's sessions are out, and potentially to address specifically and get to the root of some of why we've seen some of the trouble that we have seen.
Great. Thanks. I am going to call on. Let's hear from Frank.
Hi. Yes, I met with Kyla Cooper for Assembly Member Jones Sawyer and Yesenia Jimenez for Senator Harvey Mitchell. And with both conversations we talked mostly about the predatory lending and the lack of oversight, the real true lack of regulation there, and that there had to be more transparency. I think most people, if they knew they were signing a document at 900%, they wouldn't do it. So those kinds of things should be made clear so a person knows what kind of hole they're digging. And there should be some ceilings on interest rates, things like that, you know, and they seem to be really receptive to that and having more oversight concerning that because it's become a trap for people that are unbankable, because it turns out to be a last resort. People think it's a last resort before they find out about alternative financing in a lot of cases.
Great. Thanks, Frank. Next on my list is, next on my screen at least, are Elizabeth and Danny. I think you were all in the same meeting together, right? So if you want to tag team or you want to split it up, Elizabeth I'm going to let Elizabeth go first. She's who's showing up first for my.
Sure. Yeah. So I was not in one of the meetings that Danny, I think, was in because Robert on my team, Robert Lopez, our chief credit officer, was in that one. So I'll let Danny speak to that one with Lorena Gonzalez. But we, Danny and I and Gilberto from Opportunity Fund met with Tony Atkins' office and Jason, and just really went over, you know, what we're seeing in the marketplace, thanked them and their office for the work on the SB 1235 and the Truth in Lending bill that passed in 2018, and also the involvement and commitment they've had locally to small businesses, you know, here in our local communities. I think Jason was pretty familiar with our organizations and the work that we do, so it wasn't, he was very receptive. We gave some very specific examples and studies that we had each done in regards to transparency in lending and why 1235 is important and why the reorganization and the Department of Business Oversight structure moving forward is important. And so Gilberto was going to send a letter with some bullet points, which he appreciated. So he was going to follow up with that. And, you know, he asked us how all of our organizations are doing outreach to the communities in these times and how is that shifted, because we can't do as much in person, you know, outreach and reaching specifically the underserved communities. And so he was very interested to hear, you know, how we've all pivoted and how small businesses have also pivoted. He also asked whether there was specific challenges that anybody faced in clarity around the guidelines for small businesses and opening up, or closures, or like the outdoor dining. And so Danny addressed a little bit of feedback around that. And, you know, we reinforced the importance of the money into the iBank and the state guarantee programs, just given that, you know, CDFIs and technical assistance or, you know, resource provider, education providers are going to be really important in the long run, 6 months, 12 months down the road for this recovery, in order to help the small businesses that can weather through this, as well as the small businesses who end up having to start because of this. And so I think that he was really receptive and agreed that that was an important role and something that his office was interested in continuing to support. So I think overall it was really a good meeting.
Cool. Yeah, for the Atkins meeting, it's really great that you guys heard it they heard it more from more constituents, because we did meet with one, you know, so the more people they hear the message from, because I guarantee you that industry is just bombarding legislators with messages. So when they need, and if they don't hear from us, they think, oh, that's the only voice out there. So thank you for that. Danny, you want to add?
Not too much to add. You know, so it's similar to what occurred with Jason from Senator Atkins, it occurred with Lucero from Assemblymember Gonzalez's office, and we talked about the truth in lending. But then also, you know, from wearing my SBDC and Women's Business Center hats, talked about, you know, again, the impact that the tape really has been able to have, you know, and kind of said how it set the stage for being able to assist, you know, so many more businesses because we already had the opportunity to expand. And, you know, just as an example, our SBDC network, just in our reporting year to date, which we're barely 3/4 of the way in, we're at like 18,000 and a half, you know, over 18,000 hours. Normally this time of year, we're at about 9,000 hours. So, and that's just one-on-one advising, you know, so just having that set up to be able to do and help folks was something we, you know, certainly were able to do because of the 17 million and kind of emphasizing, you know, again, kind of reminded both of them, we're moving into year 3 of a 5-year program. So we need it to go beyond 5 because we don't want to lose that infrastructure.
Yeah. Oh, that's we're going to put that on starting to put that on our talking points. Thank you for the reminder, Danny.
I just want to
That's what I'm here for.
on what, sorry, Danny, go ahead.
I'm just saying that's what I'm here for, just to make sure Heidi remembers the points.
That's right. Cool.
I wanted to piggyback, Heidi, on what Elizabeth and Danny were just speaking to, because it sounds like we had very similar conversations with our legislators in really highlighting both the CalCap as well as the state guarantee program for the long term. And also many of them kept asking us how people find out about us. And we reiterated that, of course, we've seen an increase in inquiries just because there's a increase in demand for knowing where money can come from, but also that the links, whether it's the SBA link or our partnerships with the many SBDCs, has really increased visibility for at least Working Solutions, but I'm sure many other lenders and CDFIs as well. So it just kind of, I just wanted to say those things circled for us as well. They're concerned about how people know about us, and we reiterated we aren't seeing closures yet, but we anticipate that to be down the line.
Great, great. So that's, I think it's really interesting because PPP became basically it's a news story, and it became like everybody knows what a PPP loan if you're in business, that even if you didn't take one out, you still, you knew what it was. You heard about it, you read about it in the news, you've seen it in articles. It's like, so I think, I'm not, I'm in it. So I'm not, of course our eyes are all attuned to it, but that's part of kind of what accounts for a lot of, I'm sure, with Danny's increase in demand, and the increase in demand you guys are all saying is that, yeah, you're no longer the best kept secret. No, wait, there's these other good guy alternative lenders out there. And I mean, Meta, you guys, how many loans did you do last year? Like, what was your portfolio? And now you're talking about running $10 million to the state loan guarantee program, $12 million, right? I mean,
yeah, we did like maybe 600,000 to 700,000 last year.
so all of a sudden, right, there's
Yeah.
room for scale. It's pretty intense, I know, for everybody, and pretty, but
I don't mean to keep jumping in, but
please do. This is what this
that
is
I wanted
for.
to piggyback on Elizabeth and Danny's point is the immense amount of hours, technical assistance hours, that we're seeing increased on the front end. We spent so much time on improving efficiencies and simplifying our applications and so on, but we think, Danny, you just quoted a doubling between this time last year and this year. We are seeing significant increases in our technical assistance, primarily on the front end, even application, just kind of walking through the many options that a business owner may have.
Are those just mostly questions, Sarah, about, this is Susan over here talking, access to capital kinds of questions, or just general business development and business model questions, or can you give
They tend to be a lot about access to capital. Where can I, when I need the capital, where would I get it from? What's the best timing? What are the best kinds of terms? But also, what kind of information should I be prepared to share? And who can help me prepare that? And us helping them with a lot of their cash flow modeling and considerations. So I just think as an SBA borrower, we often talk about our pre and post loan TA in actual, we have to be very particular about that. And the pre-loan TA has increased significantly. And as we've been thinking about scale and how we streamline operations, this is changing our model. And it's just something to think about.
Cool.
Heidi?
Yeah?
I think the point that Sarah's made, and I think she's following up on a lot of others, now may be the time to actually track the difference. budgets and those things are really always based upon kind of made up formulas. But if you guys, by tracking, were able to come up with something like, in times of disasters, the front load TA is 2.7 times the blah, 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 that actually may be something we can sell later on, particularly if you're tracking it in real time. Our committee is always trying to advance more administrative costs because we think that's a better program rather than just saying, how fast can you do it? But so maybe now's the time to track and then put something together. And I know that my chair would certainly want to help in getting that nailed down and saying, hey, this is reality if we really want to reach people.
Yeah, we know some of our members have tracked like from pre-COVID to what's, to the increase. So that actually kind of takes us to we have a couple of polling questions and takes us to some of that to see what you guys are all doing and gets at some of that question as far as on a more broader level. I'm just gonna I am going to ask Daniela. So we have two things. If everybody, we have a great cooking demonstration that we're going to start in just a few minutes here. And Elizabeth McSwain from Bayola's, she works with Inland Empire. So we'd really, works with Inland Empire Women's Business Center. And we'd really love for you to stay on, so please do. We're hoping that everybody else is going to be joining us as well. We're gonna, before that, we're just gonna launch a couple of polls and see what you guys think and see what some of your COVID activity has been. So Daniela, if you want to go ahead and launch the first poll question, which is about providing funds to your community in response to COVID, and talks a little bit about your activities. Daniela, I think.
Yep, I've launched it. Can you see it?
Someone who is not a host, the host can't see it. So if you guys could fill that out. There's also, yes, we've increased our regular lending activities. We've created an emergency loan fund. We're offering PPP loans, but only to current clients, or you're almost not offering it. Well, they're still open. Including everyone, developed other loan products, created a grant fund, not a lender, not lending at this time, considered doing something. Danielle, when you see the majority of people, I think you can go ahead and show the.
We have about 10 of 13 answered so far.
I think that would work.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. Publish share the results.
Yep. Tony, you can get some real live data. If somebody else could read the results, because I can't see them.
Oh, yes, I can see them. 10% says we have increased our regular lending activity. 40% say yes, we have created an emergency loan fund. 30% we are offering PP loans to everyone, including current clients. 30% yes, we have developed another type of loan product. 60% yes, we have a grant fund. And 50%.
How much was that, Susan?
60% yes, we have created a grant fund.
So if
50% are no, we are not a lender. So
okay, yeah, okay. So if those of you who have new loan products and or a grant fund, if you could, does someone want to describe their new loan product? You could just raise your hand, like put a little, or use the reaction button. There's a hand. Nobody wants to describe their new loan product? Nathaniel.
Yeah, let me actually go to another room though. So, both on conference calls. So, And he has like a massive monitor, so he thinks that he doesn't have to leave the room ever. So anyway, welcome to my bed, everyone.
Hi,
Yeah, so right. So our loan program, we have several loan programs actually that we have launched, all using the state loan guarantee program. We've developed basically a model where we have said we can replicate this fund in different municipalities or focused on different types of communities. And so we're pitching it to funders as like at this point, like a replicable model that we can quickly deploy with the requisite like matching grant funds. So for example, we're raising money right now for a Bay Area immigrant entrepreneur fund, where we're saying everything is in place to be able to deploy this. We've raised the loan capital for this. All we need is 15% matching grant funds. So for every $1 million that we want to deploy through the Bay Area Immigrant Entrepreneur Fund, we need to raise $150,000 to be able to fully deploy it. So the State Loan Guarantee Program is making that possible, and it's been quite successful thus far. So.
Awesome. And then I'm really interested to know about how much, and this could just be an estimate. If you guys could type it into chat if you want. If you don't want to type it into chat, I understand, but I think we should be celebrating this. But if you're not allowed because of proprietary information, how much funding you've gotten out the door thus far in the last few months since COVID? Is that something you guys are willing to share? Grant for wow, and Sarah, what was your loan volume last year?
So our loan volume last year was about 3.5 million. I think the balance here is that 2 million this year is in grants. So 2 million to 300 businesses in grants.
Yeah.
And then we're hovering a little over 1 million in loans so far.
And Caleb,
behind our loan goals for sure, but we expected that.
Yeah. From what we hear, the small businesses need grants more than they need loans. So I think the access to capital is all there. I don't know everybody else. Nobody else popped in, so that's fine. And then we have another poll, the change in the service demand. Daniela, if you could launch that one, that would be fantastic.
All right, it's out.
And La Cocina forgave all rent for the businesses for the end of 2020 and waived the kitchen fees.
Excellent. I got this. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Elizabeth.
How are you? Hello.
Good. How are you? Just hang on a second. We're just wrapping up here.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'll keep doing. You'll see me just get my stuff together.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Great.
Thank you.
Are we launched the second poll and we're done? Susan, you want to go ahead? You're muted, Susan.
Yep. 8 out of 13 have responded. Oh, it disappeared. I was just about to read it and it disappeared from my screen.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
I shared it again. Can you see it?
No, sorry. You're going to have to read it, Daniela. I can't see it.
It's showing to me it's 0% for all of them. I don't know if it's not updating.
There were answers there and then they went away.
Let me see.
I saw that 38% had 200% plus increase in demand. 38% had doubled the demand for their services. That's as far as I got.
Can you see it now, Susan?
No.
I
can see
don't
it.
know what's happening.
I
You
can see it. Yeah,
Can you
I
see
can
the
see it.
results? Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
Elizabeth. I can see it. It says significant decrease 0%, small decrease 13%, same 0%, small increase 50%, big increase which is doubled 38%, and a huge increase which is 200+% is 38%.
So double the amount of services versus or more for 76, if I got that right. My math is right. Great. Well, wow, that's everybody should I mean, everybody should just, take a collective breath and, feel good about the work they're doing to help small businesses. I know it's really hard.